Hey guys, taking a look at Amazon today, had a little bit of a resistance test, managing just to peek through yesterday's high day, but seeing clear levels of resistance still around that 1829 to 1834 range. We had a little bit of a sell-off on accelerating volume today, and we managed to look for a little bit of basis support and hopefully establish something here around 1799, which was a low of the candlestick on August 20th. So a key range for us to be watching here. If we lose this support, our next support is going to be down at 1784, and then we've got some support at 1757, and then of course 1748. Bulls really need to turn things around, and we can't do anything conclusively until we get over 1834 and show that we are able to get above and hold above that daily EMA 26. 4-hour time frame, tightening range here. Here's that double bottom, and we'll meet. Let's go ahead and move down our support to 1798 for that after hours action, and we're going to go ahead and just move that up as well to 1830. So incorporating that important after hours data. I tend to ignore the monster upper and lower wicks that don't seem to correlate well or sometimes exist on other charts, but we got to pay attention to these key levels after hours and incorporate those into our action. But on the 4-hour time frame, we're seeing consistent range here, and we're ever so slightly setting higher highs, higher lows. I'm not going to call that a positive trend per se. I'm going to be really cautious on what Amazon's doing right now because I am concerned that we have that major area of resistance that we have not been able to get through, and it's just been driving the price down, acting as that big barrier. So on the hourly time frame, there is that move up during regular trading action today, bumped right into EMA 1226 conjunction. Big sell-off after hours, setting up a possible hourly bear flag. And if we get a good flush tomorrow, we might have a buying opportunity should we get back down to that area of support. But we are very close to it on accelerating volume, and we need to be cautious as to what is going to happen at that support level. If we lose that, next hourly support is 1776. Should bulls somehow manage to pull things through, we still got to contend with a little bit of a legwork to get back up to 1830 and get back up over that level. So a possible short entry position on the break of 1798 and multiple 4-hour supports all the way down to 1718. Hey guys, Jason taking a look at Apple. Apple had an interesting candlestick today, and it's really a continuation of what we have been seeing for the last few days. We've got what really should have been a bearish reversal candlestick. We have a shooting star, another shooting star. Now we get a tightening spinning top. Now we get another spinning top showing more volatility and indecision with bigger upper and lower wicks showing that increasing range. So things are getting a little bit dicey here, and we still don't have a lot of direction. One thing I do want to point out really quickly is that we've got a nice upper wick acting as a trend line resistance for us. And I'm not really going to put a lot of weight on the support, but there is a basis support being developed here, and really it all comes down to that 210.03 level. So we are seeing a trend line resistance up here. It's acted as resistance. I'm just going to pretend that that's just happens to work out. I'm not going to put a lot of weight on it, and the further back you go, the less reliable that comes. But you can see there is a connection here, either just by coincidence or by actual trend level. That we do need to pay attention to as a future resistance on future daily candlesticks until, of course, it's proven otherwise. So basis support, and we have trendline resistance on the daily. 4-hour time frame, we are showing higher highs, possibly higher lows as well, so keep an eye on that. This current low is 210.75. Bulls need to stay above that level to set a new higher low and ultimately want to come back up and test this trend line once again. Hourly time frame, there's that increasing volatility and price action. Here we have quite a weird pattern, but it's a big drop. We're seeing some strength, and just like we saw in some other these tech names, we gave a little bit of that price back today into after hours, and we're seeing a little bit of a rounded top. Kind of a strange position here, and an odd chart pattern indeed. Big V-shaped recovery into a rounded top. Not quite sure what to make of that. Every day is a learning experience, and we'll see what happens in tomorrow's action. But our hourly trend is actually opening up to a downside bear trend, or just a regular bear trend, downside bear trend. Support at 210.75 and resistance 214.44, and the high of our afternoon push 213.30. So interesting setup. I would stay away from this myself, just watching and learning. This is a unique situation, and I'm keen to see what happens and learn from this. And I hope you are too. Hey guys, taking a look at Tesla. Tesla's daily candlestick reflecting that continuing resistance of the EMA 12 action Our high day will be important tomorrow. It's very likely going to be close to where tomorrow's EMA 12 resistance is going to be at 225.40. So 225 psychological, very likely to be an important factor tomorrow. We're going to look for that basis support at today's low of day, very close to yesterday's low of day. So we're going to go ahead and mark that in as an area of potential support, 217.60, with today's low of day being 218.20. So a little bit of range here, but possible support. Ultimately, it's all about this EMA 12 grinding us down over and over and over again. Today, you can see that we did not quite get that big push to the downside that we would have expected for that lower swing. Bulls tried again, but were rejected. So we'll see what happens. If we get a stronger open, we'll look for a flush to the upside, test that resistance, and look for a short entry. If we open lower, we need to see what sort of price action we get initially to indicate that direction. We're not going to have a lot of information when we open in the middle of a range. There's no real clear winner right away, so we need to see what develops. Daily time frame, indecision candlestick rejecting from EMA 12. 4-hour time frame, we are seeing some hesitation at 229.77, an area of resistance that we came very close to before rejecting. So watch that range, 229 to 217, and seeing that today's hourly action really reflecting that entire range and ultimately just settling in the middle of the pack. So not a lot of clear direction on Tesla. This would be hands off until something develops, and I will wait and stock that trade. And I think the first signals are going to be the break of that 229 or the break of that 217 area of support and resistance. On the 4-hour time frame, should we lose that 217.60 support, our next support is at 211.55, and not a lot under that. Keep in mind we are in a very, very strong 4-hour downtrend. And on the daily time frame, actually let's go back to the 4-hour, because that's really all that matters. If we break bull and manage to change this trend around, we do have several resistances to watch out for: 237, 239, that 260, 246.68. So that's it for Tesla today. Watch, and I will be watching and learning, and I encourage you to do the same. Taking a look at Netflix now, very similar to that Tesla chart that we looked at in the same series. Constant rejection from that EMA 12, 3 bear days in a row. A little bit more support here by the bulls buying this dip, but we still have a downtrend intact. And if we look at the hourly 4-hour time frame, it's very likely that will be a nice lower to low, lower high trend for us. So that's what we need to pay attention to. On the daily time frame, we need to be cognizant of what our EMA 12 resistance is going to be. If we get a massive flush to the upside from anywhere in this level, we're going to be overbought on the sub time frames and look for a potential short entry at that 304.92 or whatever that EMA 12 becomes tomorrow. On the 4-hour time frame, we start to see that dawdling downtrend. There's lower lows and lower highs on the 4-hour. And for bulls to turn this around, they need to stay above 228 and then eventually get a high over 311.75, set a higher low, and see if they can move that into bull territory. Hourly downtrend is still very much intact. Last low is 293.15 and our current high 300. So we'll just look for 300 psychological. Bulls again need to get back up over that level, start setting higher highs, higher lows, carry that over into the 4-hour time frame. And why don't we just draw that in for fun? It would look something like this. And then if we go to the 4-hour time frame, we can see how that switches, and then we want to get all the way up to 311.75. Should we fail to do that and we come up, set a lower high, then we just start dawdling back down. And if we go over to our hourly time frame, you start to see how these time frames correlate and make sense as our hourly rolls into our 4-hour and so on. So we will simply wait for a direction break on Netflix, and we will wait to see if those hourly bulls can help those 4-hour bulls turn things around. Until then, we are simply in a downtrend on both time frames and looking for possible short entries.